Hey, you guys. Long time no see, huh? Oh my God. You guys have no idea how much work these little guys were. Just, I'm never doing this again. I swear, I'm never doing this again. I literally worked on these journals for, I don't know. Everybody always says that, that I work fast and all that, but these guys, they were not fast. This was a lot of work, but I'm super happy with these little Reader's Digests. Really, really happy with them. And I'm telling you, I did not skimp on materials, I really didn't. I mean, I coffee dyed paper just for these. I avocado dyed paper just for these. I put a lot of work into them. So anyway, I'm glad that they're finished, and I couldn't think of anything else that I wanted to do to them, so I just said, okay, they're done. I actually almost forgot to put the corners on them, but I did. So I've had a request to to show you guys all of them. There's 22 altogether, and I think what I'm going to do as far as listing these, I have the listings all ready to go. It's 9:30 a.m. on Monday the 20th of July Pacific time right now. Okay, that's Pacific time. So I have the listings all ready to go. I'm not sure how long this video is going to take. Probably, I don't know, it might be a little bit long, but I will list the journals. I want to get them listed, soon, but I'm not going to wait until later today or anything. So I'll say, like, I should have this uploaded by, I would say, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And so that'll be when I'll go ahead and publish the listings. I'll say at 11 a.m. Pacific. If the video is uploaded by then. If not, it'll be sometime before noon. Okay, so just keep an eye on my Etsy shop, and I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in one of these guys. Okay, so these are all made out of old Reader's Digest books that I've been hanging on to for quite a while. And originally I was just going to do these as like naked journals, and not really do any kind of embellishment or anything, and just use real junky kind of stuff in them. And so I still wanted to kind of do that, but I thought, no, I'm just going to use some of my good stuff in these, because that's just what I wanted to do. And so, like I said, I totally did not skimp on ephemera or, ledger, and just really nice old authentic ephemera and stuff, So let me just flip through one of these and just kind of talk about what went into them. So I made a bunch of little tags just out of some little notebooks. These are, let me zoom in just a tiny bit. These are just some little notebooks that I've had in my drawer, and I decided to just, I just tore out a bunch of pages out of them, glued them onto some repurposed paper out of an old photo album, and just added a little bit of like ticking and stuff onto those. Anyway, so I made a bunch of these little tags, and I used them throughout these journals. And then Chris, hi Chris, sent me a whole bunch of letters, handwritten letters from during World War II, from a husband to his wife, and all of the envelopes and stuff. And so I used a lot of those. I did a video a little while ago showing you guys how I planned on using some of those envelopes and the letters and stuff. So I have other plans for the letters, but I did use all the envelopes in these. So just so you know. And then I just had this old Rolodex type of thing, and it's you know, I don't know exactly when this was used, but it is kind of cool. I really like the paper. I like the kind of manila color, and then just all the writing that's on those. Oh my gosh, I haven't even turned one page and I'm already just yakking. The stitching that I did on these with red thread was a really heavy thread, and the bobbin thread that I used was a really lightweight thread, so the stitching gets really messy on the back. It's like, well, it looks really chunky, and I tried to adjust the tension on the machine to sort of compensate for that, but it just wasn't gonna fly. So anyway, it looks super messy. But anyway, so there's some avocado dyed paper, just, you know, pages out of some of these just really cool old notebooks and agendas and calendars and things like that. This was a beautiful book that every single page of this book was printed with this floral design, and I just love it. I took some pages from one of the Sowerby botanical books, the British botany books, and I just, you know, they're all blank on the back, and I just folded them into thirds. I put a couple pages into each one of the journals. These are some of the index cards from France that I got from Forever French. These are from the 60s, but they're really cool with the grid pattern on them and lots of French writing and stuff. I have no idea what they were for or anything like that, but I thought they were pretty. And then I used some old sheet music covers and some of the sheet music that was in these covers, but all of these covers I thought were just, you know, really pretty. So I made those into some pocket pages. Some of the paper that's in these isn't vintage paper, but it's definitely, you know, vintage designs. This is some of the wrapping paper that I had shown you guys on a previous video that came in, you know, one of those books. This is a page from, you know, like a little desk ledger. Some book pages from some old French books that I have, and some ledger pages. These are, you know, English. Some of that really nice craft sort of like wrapping paper that I like to use. I took apart a small ledger that I had, I call it a ledger, but I guess it's more of like an agenda or just a notebook that I've had for a while. This is from like the 1880s, and I used the original pages in there. Used some envelopes in the center of a lot of the signatures. There are some printed images that I used just you know, to add some floral elements. Backed those with a postcard, with an old postcard. Okay, excuse me, and then did some stitching. Gosh, I haven't done a flip through video for a long time. I'm not quite sure how to act. And then I made a bunch of envelopes using that same wrapping paper, and some of them I made so that they opened at the end like that, kind of like a coin envelope. So, and these are glued shut, so I thought those were kind of fun. I just added some of the stuff that I made specifically for these journals that didn't get like bound in, or they didn't fit into a pocket or something. and I just paper clip that stuff in. So here's another page from the Sewer Bee book, and then another one of those index cards. Here's some more of those little notebooks. This is the original page out of the notebook. You can see it's dated July 1910 and August 1910. And that's just backed onto some like file folder paper, some old file folder paper. This is another image from the Sewer Bee book, and I just backed it onto some French ledger page and then did some stitching. Real basic kind of, you know, I didn't do anything like super super fancy, you know. I had made a bunch of these little like charms, little like label type charms, and some of them I just tied onto, I added a lot of eyelets onto some of the pages so that, you know, you could add things to those if you wanted to on the papers that I felt were sturdy enough to handle that. You know, if the paper was real thin and stuff, then, you know, obviously I wouldn't put an eyelet on it for you to hang things on. But I added something onto most of the places where I added an eyelet. I attached something there. This is some of that old writing paper with the red margins. Some of the Reader's Digest flyleaf pages, because I always save those, so I wanted to make sure and use those in these books. This envelope actually came from, it was a book that was used to store negatives. And I'm going to say probably from a view camera, so a 4x5 view camera negatives. It's from France, and so the title on the book was, you know, Kodak or whatever, Kodak something or other in French, but it was just a book full of these envelopes, and I just thought they were really cool. So they were actually open at the bottom, so it was like two pages like this in a signature. And so when I took the book apart, there was two envelopes that were attached to each other. So I just tore them apart, and then I just folded up the bottom and glued that shut just to make it, you know, closed at the bottom. So I thought you could just glue that in somewhere if you wanted to, into your journal. Oh, my phone's ringing. Took some pages from another ledger and just cut it into some sort of long, narrow, tall, narrow strips so that I could use them on some of the tags that are in the journals. But I had a bunch left over, so I thought I would just add those in and paper clip those onto one of the pages. Pulled out all my paper clips. I didn't do any like embellished or altered paper clips in these. I just, you know, just used regular paper clips, but but I kind of like that anyways. And then I did do, yeah, see the stitching on the back of this is super messy, but it's still pretty sturdy. Like, it's not coming out or anything. I just it's on the back that it looks like that. But I think it's kind of cool and funky anyway. And then just added tabs in, you know, different random places. This is another one of those envelopes. Obviously, it's the back of the envelope. Some of those vintage postcards from France. These are from like 1900. So they're actually kind of fragile. And then I just added a little hole reinforcer and a piece of seam binding on there, just to kind of pretty them up, you know. And this is some vintage ledger page that is obviously with no writing. This is some newer paper. It's like a Southworth resume paper. Another page from an agenda. I was trying to see if I could find the year. I think it's in the 50s. Now this is really cool. I had a viewer slash friend slash customer send this to me, this little diary. It's one of those 5-year diaries. And the lady that actually did all the writing in this, she lived on a farm, and she was very much into, gardening and putting up food, and very domestic, and but so what it is like each line on, or each little, there's 5 like areas for a paragraph on each page for the date. And so every year you just write 1 paragraph. So this would be like, and I think these were from the 40s. So like say it was 1941, you would write that paragraph here on November 15th. And then in 1940, 41 and 1942, 43, 44, whatever, you would just write a paragraph each year on that particular day. So I thought those were kind of cool. And it's just super tiny writing, but if you read it, she tells you what the weather was like that day, what was harvested, or what they planted, or just real general kind of stuff. Like she basically wrote the same type of information every year on every day. So I mean, this took some diligence, and I guess my friend that sent it to me, she had 2 of these, so that were for like 10 consecutive years. So I don't know, I just think this is really special, and I was happy to share some pages from it with you guys. And then I made some tall skinny pockets. This is just made with a paper bag, and I folded it vertically in half instead of horizontally, and then just added some tall like letters, and printed some. These are printed on some onion skin paper. There's some French documents and stuff like that. This is some onion skin paper, and this is one of those paper bags but folded, horizontally. I went through each one of these journals and added some postage stamps just all throughout the whole journal. Just did some little mini collages kind of with postage stamps. And then this is another one of those little notebook pages. This was one of the ones that was the doctor that I talked to you guys about before. And so it's like his chart notes and all of his billing for all of his patients. And this was from, like, I think this one was one from like 1920, something like that. So he was just like a, a country doctor, he probably worked in like a city, but people from all around the whole area would come there and, into his doctor's office. So those are kind of fun to read too, because a lot of them, like the husband, if it was the husband and wife that came, but it was really the wife that needed medical care, it would be under the husband's name. And then it would say that his wife needed this, or his children needed this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I just thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, some more pages from those really old, beautiful sheet music pages. This is a printed image that I just printed some grid paper on the back of it, and then printed some other grid paper on some of that nice writing paper. I had a whole bunch of really beautiful old maps that were printed in the 40s that I cut apart and made into pages in these journals. What else? This is another one of the flyleaf pages. I did add some charms in these, some just little tiny little charms. And, I added some tabs, but not always necessarily on the edge of the page, I just added them where I felt like adding them, and then just some random labels throughout the whole journal. Just, each one I just treated like, I just had fun with it, and I just took all of my stuff and just laid it all out on my desk, and I just went through each journal and really took my time placing labels and tabs and charms and adding eyelets and that kind of stuff. I don't think I really went overboard with it, but but I really enjoyed just putting each one together. So each one definitely has its own personality, and I really put a lot of energy into each one individually. I mean, I know that it seems like when I'm working on a lot of journals at one time that it's kind of just like an assembly line process, but it's really not. Like it's just a way of being efficient, I think, but retaining some creativity and just spending the time with each one. So I don't know. And that's always my favorite part of making journals, is just adding in the ephemera and that kind of stuff. So some little tags. These are just, this little charm was made out of a really old manila file folder, like from like the 40s. So I don't know. I just really like the way paper ages, and I try to retain that. I try to use that paper as much as I can. And this is actually this is printed on just cardstock, but this was a shipping label that was on an old steamer trunk that I bought at a junk shop up in I think it wasn't, where was that? It was in Northport, Washington. But this was I scanned that that shipping label because I thought it was really cool. So and I still have the original. There's some stuff that I just will keep probably for a long time. I'm going to give it all to Adrian when I die, and he can figure out what to do with it. Oh. Adrian's my second son that really would prefer that I got rid of a bunch of junk, I think. So anyway, so more pages. I love that old ledger. And this was from this was actually from a general store. You can see a lot of the entries are like for wheat, or maybe it was like maybe it was a bank, some kind of banking ledger actually. Or it could have been like a personal register for finances, because there's a lot of like cash entries too. So anyway, it's just fun to read through this stuff sometimes. This is actually a little tuck spot on the page made out of the end of a envelope that I cut off. I did some collaging on those. So those are kind of fun. And then I just took some of the notebook pages that were, after I got tired of gluing them onto, I'm kind of like slipping over, sorry guys. After I got tired of gluing them onto paper, I decided to just take 3 or 4 of them and bundle them together and just give you a few of those that you could use however you want. And I clipped them together with one of those cool little clips that folds over. So to use this, you would just unfold this, and then those pages will come out. Okay. So I just paper clip those in on one of the pages. Be careful with those though, because they're pretty fragile. They're really old. A lot of those are from 1890s and stuff. So some calculation paper, it's like quantity calculations. I love this paper. It's from the Department of Transportation in California. So yeah, and then I did do some collaging on some of these other paper bags. More postage stamps. I got some postage stamps from the seller on Etsy that her shop before, and she, because she just takes her time to like sort out her postage stamps color themes. Like she actually has a listing right now that's a bunch of postage stamps that are all hands, where there's a hand in all of them, or like flowers or butterflies or birds or whatever. So each one of these journals has a couple pages out of that 5-year diary. This is a really old atlas of the world. It's like a pocket atlas that I've just been, I've just had a hard time taking it apart, and I've wanted to make these pages into tags, but then I didn't want to sacrifice the back of the page too, because the back is really cool. So I thought this was the best way to use them in a journal, so you could get the front and the back. When I glued some of these tags in, or glued some of these tabs on, some of them got stuck just a little bit, but really old math book. It's an elementary school math book, or maybe it was like middle school. Anyway, and then some old like smaller like ledger books or day books. It's my coffee dyed paper. There's some avocado paper, and I love the I use a cooling rack on the cookie sheet when I put this in the oven, and then it's really rusty and old, you know, so it always gives me those really cool lines. This is some drawing paper out of like a little pocket sketchbook. Some more of that wrapping paper that I bought on Amazon. And I made some of these square envelopes into some interesting little pockets. You know how I like to make the flap into a pocket? Well, I couldn't really do that with these because it was really long. So I just kind of did it like that, and I just sealed the one side of it and then put a notch on that side. These are some pockets I got, I think, at Hobby Lobby. Anyway, so that's basically it. You know, there's a lot of good stuff in these. I'm really happy with them. This little notebook is so cool. I did actually scan some pages from this, and they printed off pretty nicely. So yeah, so I think you'll like a lot of this stuff. It's all kind of from the same era, I would say. Well, maybe not. I mean, because some of it's like 1900, you know, or before, and then some of it's up to like the 60s. But anyway, this is a like a beer distributor. Their receipt when they just, you know, delivered to a store. This was the receipt. This was their copy of the receipt, and Patty Lang had a bunch of these, you know, full books of those copies of receipts, and I got a few of those from her a long time ago, so I've been trying to use those. So I think they're kind of cool. So these are from like the 50s, 1950. So, okay, and then each one of the journals has, I just did a very simple ball chain, ball chain closure with one of those really nice big hitch posts. And then on the charm, my good friend Carla sent me some happy mail about a month ago, and she sent me some chandelier crystals that she had bought at an antique store. So I had some also from my grandma's chandelier that were exactly the same. And so with the ones that Carla sent me and the ones that I had already, I was able to add one of those on each one of these journals. And then I did some mother of pearl shanked buttons. These are some old buttons. So they all have the shank on the back. So I was able to use a jump ring on those. And then a little bee charm, and then some kind of decorative bead. Okay, some kind of pretty bead. I did a couple of those little shanked buttons, a large one and a small one. And then I have these really cool bells that I got off of Amazon, these little like Indian brass bells. So I put a little bell on each one. And then just this is the name tag. I made these using that same old manila folder that I told you about, that I, did the circle out of, and using the label stamps that I got from Signet Stamps. Using the label stamps, I just made some long, skinny little tags, and then I wrote her name on there. And I decided to go ahead and go with popular names from the 20s. And so I just picked out the ones that kind of stood out to me, and I used those to name all these journals. So this one, her name is Belle. And then each one of these has one of these envelopes that I made using using a page from one of my favorite ledgers. They're French ledgers, or from a French document, or like a receipt or something like that, but it's the original paper. It's not a digital copy of it. It's the original paper that I actually just glued onto like an avocado dyed envelope or something like that, or coffee dyed, and then just put it back together, glued it back together, and made it into an envelope again. Originally they were all, opened up, but I thought I would share one of those with you guys. And then each journal has one of those dividers with the metal tab on it that I got from Forever French. And just so you know, you can take this out. Okay, that it's a name of a city. They're all a name of a city in French, and or a country, I should say, in France, or in French. But you can take out the name tag, like it just slips out. You might have to kind of play with it, but they all come out, so you could insert a different, word or something in there if you wanted to. Otherwise, just leave it like that. But I thought these were super cool, and a lot of you guys really liked these, and I thought they would make a nice little writing board. So if you use this in your journal, some people don't really know what I'm talking about, or anybody's talking about, when they say a writing board. It's intended to put behind a page when you're writing on it, so that you have like a firm surface to write on. So you could use it vertically like this, or you could even, if you're writing on something like a page where the paper like flips out, like this one, like say you want to write on that whole page, you could use this writing board like that, so that you have a firm surface to write on. Okay, just an idea. Anyway, so I put one of these in each journal. It's kind of in a different location in each one, but each one does have one. I told you guys I put a lot of stuff in these, and then each one of the journals also has a Tunidex card that I mentioned also on a previous video. These were gifted to me by a lovely young lady, and I told you guys to look these up on eBay, just because I did when she told me about them, and she was like, look those up on eBay. She goes, because I found a whole bunch of them at the thrift store, and I was floored. So anyway, she sent me a whole bunch of them, and I was like over the moon happy about it, just because they're so cool. These are like from the 1940s, and they were sent to radio stations to keep on file, to give information about specific songs that they played on the radio. And so that's what these are. And they were, I don't know, you have to look them up, but they only produced them for a short while, So anyway, so each one does have a Tunidex card in it. And then some other piece of ephemera. There's just different, different little random doodads. But each one has two of those envelopes that I made. And then I did a little mini notebook for each journal. So you've got some little tiny book pages, some coffee dyed paper, some ledger paper, some French book pages, and whatnot. Okay, so these are just stitched together, and I used those old ledger covers that I had scanned, and some of them are from the digital kit that's in my shop. So so I do have, not, this one's not in there, but in these other, and the rest of these journals, some of those are from the kit that's in my shop. So anyway, and I just tucked it into one of those little envelopes. And if it fit into the big envelope, then I put it in there. Okay, so then it just sits inside the journal and you can do whatever you want with it. Okay. Oh my gosh, 35 minutes that took to talk about that. But there's a lot going on. So I definitely wanted to give you, information about what's in these. And then, like I said, I did do the book corners on each one. And some people have asked about the stitching on the spines of the Reader's Digest. And just so you know, that's what it looks like. And I basically just stitch along, with the cover open. It just fits up to the edge of the foot on my sewing machine right along the spine. And I just put it on a zigzag and just stitch right around it. It's, and it's not a fancy sewing machine. It's just my brother machine. Not the old one, but my newer one. Anyway, so this one is Belle. And the spine on this one was in really good shape, so I didn't really need to do much as far as, reinforcement on it. But some of them where either I felt like the spine wasn't perfect or wasn't great, or I just didn't like it, then I covered it with some fabric. Now, some of them, the part on the spine that, so like this part of the spine on this one, on the cover, was darker. So you can sort of see that through this fabric because it's real thin, this white fabric. So if that bothers you, just maybe you could add some lace or something on there. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to start getting into adding even more onto these journals because I felt like if I did that on this one, then I would have to do that on all of them. And I just didn't want to do that, but it doesn't bother me. I think it looks fine, but you can kind of see that there's some darkness there. So anyway, and then on about half of them, I did do the fabric on them. And then a lot of them, I just used this it was some quilting fabric that was probably from the 40s or 50s, early 50s. And it was actually the backing fabric from a quilt top that was in progress that I bought off of eBay because I wanted the feed sack fabric scraps and the cutout pieces. And this was the fabric that the lady that was making the quilt was going to use on the back of her quilt. And also parts of the front. There was elements on the front that were made out of this fabric. So I wound up with a bunch of this fabric. And I just thought it was really pretty. So when I used that fabric on a lot of these, I just did the red stitching. And I had some issues with the sewing machine on this one, so that's why it looks so messy. But anyway, so I did the red stitching with those. Okay. So this one, so you just saw Belle, and then this one is Florence. Here's the writing board for that one. And I'm not going to do flip through on all 22 of these, but there are, like I always say, there's 10 images for each journal on Etsy. So these will be listed on Etsy. I haven't listed anything on Etsy for a long time. It was kind of weird. I felt a little awkward, like I didn't remember what I was supposed to do since I've been doing so much stuff just through PayPal. So like this one, the little mini notebook is in the envelope tucked into the back pocket. So anyway, so this one is, who was this? This one's Florence. And this one is Joan. And yeah, so there's the buttons and the little crystal. This one actually has a smaller crystal than the other ones. This was the only one that was smaller, and that was from my grandma's chandelier. So this is Joan. So I'll just show you the covers on the rest of them. And then you can look at Etsy if you want to see the inside of the rest of these. So this one is Clara. This is a beautiful cover. You don't see this one very often in Reader's Digest. I love the design. It's kind of like wispy, like spider webs, and I don't know, it looks like spider webs, but and like all these little flowers, and there's a butterfly and stuff like that. It just looks very woodlandy to me. So yeah, so this is Clara. And then this one is Laverne. Okay, with the orange kind of marbled cover. And this one is Norma. And this is a piece of pink quartz that was top drilled, so I just added a little bit of wire and made it into like a charm. So this is Norma. I'm going to run out of room really fast here on my desk. And this one is Frances, which is my new granddaughter's name. So I was happy to see that that was one of the most popular names to name your baby in the 1920s. So Frances, if you like purple. I know some people hate purple. Some people love purple. I'm just saying. And then this one is Myrtle with the ferns and all that good stuff. I can't imagine anybody covering these up. Like, I don't know. I mean, some of them, like there's a lot of them that, like, I love all of these covers. Even this one. Like, I don't know. I love these patterns. I just think they're so cool. Like this one. It's just, I don't know. It's just, they're just neat. They're so retro, you know? But yeah, some people just cover them up. I can understand that, like I was saying, maybe with, you know, some of the newer ones, but they're all old and cool now. Anyway, so this is Goldia, and that was actually my grandma's name, so I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't realize that that was a really popular name in the 20s. So this one's Goldia. And there's a little bit of, I didn't mention this, but a lot of these little tags, I used some grain sack fabric on these. This is some grain sack fabric from Rachel at Roxy Creations, and then also I bought some grain sacks from Louise at Forever French. So I used some of both of those. And this one is Joan. Wait a second. Do I already have a Joan? Uh-oh. I have to rename this one. Yep. Dang it. I have two Joans. Okay. So this one I'm going to rename. Hold on. Boy, I messed up. Good. Let's rename this one Edna. Okay. I'm going to change her name. Her name is now Edna. I have to give her a new tag. Oops. Okay, so I thought I did that, but then I thought, no, I didn't do that. Anyway, so I'm changing her name to Edna, but I love this journal. And this is some old, what do they call that fabric? Oh my gosh, I forget everything when I'm on video. You know, the Indian fabric. I know what it's called, but I can't remember right at the moment. Anyway, but I thought that was kind of cool how it worked with this cover, you know, just the colors. So anyway. Okay, and this one is Charlotte. And this is kind of a peachy pink color. It's more pink than it looks on the camera right now, but it's just a beautiful cover. It was really, really pretty. And it was in really good shape too, you know. I used some pink. I did these mostly all just with a two-hole pamphlet stitch, just because I like the way it looks, and I don't know, it's easier and faster. But anyway, so this is Charlotte, and this is Agnes. Okay, with the, and she's got that really beautiful red, white with red they're little diamonds on there with the red stitching. Yep, this one's Agnes. And I told you there's 22 of these, you guys. And then this is Mabel. Okay. Let me move these out of the way. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Yeah, I need to hurry up or it's going to be late. I'm not going to get those published by the time this uploads. Although I did upgrade my internet speed, so my videos upload pretty fast now. Anyway, so this one's Mabel. And I used the green waxed thread on the binding on that one. And this one, I love this one because I love that peach color. It's really, really pretty. And this is some fabric that Carla sent me. You can see this, the edge of the little trim piece there, but I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. What's her name? Oh, this is Blanche. Okay. So this really is like a peach color fabric, but that is actually orange and then gray, and it's like got little flowers and stuff. Just love those patterns. And this one is Phyllis. This is like a kind of like a seafoam green marbled pattern. See the inside. So the pictures, I don't know. Sometimes when I'm taking pictures of 22 journals, it gets to be a little overwhelming. And so, you know, but I try to do like a picture with the book all the way open. So if you zoom in, you can see a lot of the pages, and, you know, and then I do like detail pages too. So anyway, so this one's Gertrude, and this one was kind of worn and a little bit tattered, you know, and I really liked that, so I kept this one. Plus, it's like it's got a fabric spine, like it's like linen, you know. It's not plastic. It's not plasticky like some of them are. I don't know the year of this one, but they did their covers like that for a while, and then they changed them. So I don't know. I wish they would have always done them this way, because I like the way those look. Anyway, so that's Gertrude. And this one is Audrey. And Audrey has the little Lily of the Valley motif on it. Little pen mark there, you know. It's got some signs of love and affection, you know. So it's kind of like a real pale, almost like baby blue sort of color. And I did pink binding. So yeah, that's Audrey. And then I love this one. I love her name. It's Muriel. I just think that's such a cool name. I wish people would start using those names more again, you know. Anyway, so this is Muriel, and there's like some kind of little smudge on the front there, and there's a little bit of paint right there. I didn't do that. I don't know who did that, but it's permanent. So anyway, so this is Muriel. This one was, a lot of times they have some of the earlier ones, like from the 50s, they have the year on the spine. So anyway, and then I decided to use a couple of the ones that I was holding aside to do Christmas kits, but, you know, because I just wanted to. But I have more of the green and more of the red ones, and then some like silver and white ones that I wanted to do in my Christmas kits that I might do hopefully in October or something. Anyway, but I wanted to use a couple of them now. So this is Evelyn. And you could totally make this into a Christmas journal if you wanted to. It does have a lot of green in it. I used, you know, it's actually kind of like lime green on the inside, sort of neonish. And I did pick out some stuff that, you know, kind of went with that theme of colors, you know. So if you love green, this is a nice one. You could do it Christmassy, or you could just do it totally nature, you know, whatever you want to do. And this, I love this cover too. It's very much, you know, like playing cards, like clubs and diamonds and stuff. This is Opal. And it's kind of like a olive green with red, and then like a deep navy blue on the spine. It's not black. It's like a navy blue. So that's Opal. And this one, this cover is another one of my favorites. I just think it's really pretty. So this is 1960, this book. But I love this little like swirly curly Q kind of pattern on the spine there. Who is this? What's her name? Oh, this is Esther. So I like to use this kind of cover as like, you know, a non-traditional like Christmas sort of journal. So just a thought like that. I think that lends itself really nicely to like a Christmas journal or like a December daily type of thing. And you could turn any of these, you could turn into a December daily or something, you know. Anyway, I don't know why, but I'm just thinking about Christmas kits right now. And this is Gladys, and I love Gladys. I've had a couple of this cover and I love it. I just think it's really pretty. It looks like ribbon, kind of like twirled, you know, like twisty ribbon. It's like a light, like yellow, and then a dark orange, and then with the red, with the white and red fabric, and then yellow binding. So this is Gladys. And then, oh, this is actually a piece of carnelian on there. It's not glass. That's a genuine piece of carnelian. So, okay, so that's it, guys. Gotta make sure I change the name on that one journal. And I will get these published, the listings published. I have them all finished, but I haven't published them yet, so they're not live. But they will be. They will be very soon. So yeah, so they'll be in my Etsy shop, and of course the link to my shop will be in the description. Okay, so if you have any questions about these or about anything else, you know, leave it in the comments. Oh, I do have a box of journals that I'm going to be showing you guys for my July show and sell video. And I'm probably going to do those. I'm probably going to wait until like Thursday or Friday to do that. But I just wanted you to know that I have one of those coming up. And then I was also going to do like a Q&A type of video. I've had some questions asked recently that I thought would be easier answered on video, and you know, rather than just in writing. So let me, if you have any questions like that, you know, something specific that you would like me to, you know, show you or talk about or whatever, send me that in an email, and you know, just to be sure I get it and I actually read it. You know, I mean, I read the comments and I do like and love them, but I don't always respond to them. But if it's something you really would like answered, send me an email, and then that way it kind of goes into a different section of my brain, you know. Anyway, and I'll try to get that in when I do that like Q&A video. And then I'm also going to do another one that's kind of like my favorite things. And so if there's something you would like to know, what is my favorite of, you know, same thing. Ask me, you know, you leave that in the comments or whatever. But just, you know, just looking to talk to you guys about things that you're interested in, you know. Anyway, okay, so that's it. I'll stop blabbering, and I'm going to go change this listing right now. And I love you guys, and thanks for putting up with me. And I'm sorry I've been gone so long. I don't know. I got to working on these, and I just try to just push through, you know, and I couldn't stop to make any more videos for a little while. Anyway, okay. Love you guys. Bye for now.